Hi, and welcome to Speakers on Edge. On today's 15 Minutes of Fame, we have a very special guest. I want to introduce you to Sam. Sam, who are you?
Hey, brother, good to be here. It's early in the morning for me, but hey, the early bird gets the worm.
It sure does. So tell us about you.
All right, well, what I do is I run a podcast called Autism Rocks and Rolls. It's on my shirt, as you can see. I'm a podcaster
Hmm.
that talks about autism and how we cope with daily struggles that you may or may not understand. But through the podcast, it's grown so much. I developed sponsors, a board of six. I'm an event planner in Indianapolis, where I'm from. I also do motivational speaking services. I've spoken to places all over the world, including places such as Orlando, Florida, and Canada. I did a keynote speech in Dales, West Virginia, and I did a work conference in Columbus, Ohio. I also have a commercial out. You're more than happy to check it out on YouTube. Just type in Autism Rocks and Rolls commercial. Not that hard to find. I always butcher this, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm an online producer of a children's television show called The Gina Mitchell. That's just started very recently.
Awesome. So what's it like being that keynote speaker? How was it for you in front of those audiences?
Well, it feels pretty darn well. If I say myself, I don't really get nervous in front of people, so I do all
But
right, I think.
but public speaking is the biggest fear in the world. And here
Yeah,
you
I
are
know.
with autism.
You think that I would be afraid, but no, I'm not. I think it because of how much negativity I've had in life. It doesn't really affect me anymore. Plus, at the end of the day, I really don't care if I would have gotten booed. I'm used to hearing it every day anyway, so nothing new.
Well, I've got to admit, because I've been on television for, well, I've been in the TV industry for 30 years and on TV since 2012 in front of the camera. And yeah, you get all sorts of feedback from people, and it doesn't matter. What matters is the person that you're speaking to. This is why I love this show, because I get to bring on people like yourself. What made you decide podcast and speaking was for you?
Well, it was kind of a funny story. So the podcast was meant to be a hobby. At start, I joined my high school's media club, and I fell in love with it so much that I didn't want to wait till college to expand my skills. That's why I decided to start my own podcast, and that was when Autism Rocks and Rolls was born. But the speaking came later after. In 2022, I got my first invitation to a conference in Oklahoma, and it's just taken off since then.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing about conferences is having that amazing feedback and the opportunity taking off. What would you say to somebody who has autism, who's watching today?
Well, I would say that someone's going to find you interesting. I'll explain. So, for the longest time, I thought no one would find me interesting. Now I realize that view was a bunch of garbage. And someone did find me interesting in kindergarten. I just wish I would have noticed it beforehand. And I'm truly grateful for that person I have. I still am in contact with him. It's just that I wasn't as grateful as I should have been before. I'm more grateful for him now than I ever have been. But when I say someone's going to find you interesting, there's 8 billion people on Earth. It's just unrealistic that 8 billion people on Earth will not find you interesting. Someone will. It may be someone who you unexpect, but someone's going to.
There's a really good point there, because we live such isolated lives, we don't realize we can have people all around the world. Now, right now, what city in the world are you in?
I'm in Indiana, southern central area.
Okay, I'm on the Baltic Sea in Poland. I'm on the other side of the earth from you. And here we are being able to have this conversation. This is the joy of these platforms, being able to share our stories. That's why we have, for me, it's the afternoon. It's about 2:11 p.m. I have a beautiful sunny day, and it's absolutely incredible. When you decided to do your podcast, how old were you?
I was 17.
17. So were your parents proactive about you doing the podcast?
Oh, yeah. They were very supportive of what I do and still are. My only rule I had was I can't be doing anything illegal or something that's just plain old wrong or ridiculous.
Yeah, that's I've got to agree with you there. Let's do keep things legal. we don't want you in we don't want you getting caught on something that's a bit ridiculous, that's for sure.
Right.
So, what was it like for you growing up?
Very hard, I would say. I would say that with my school in particular, the staff was great, but the students were just very disrespectful to it. I was excluded, bullied, all the stereotypes because they didn't want to handle someone who didn't think like them or someone who would, for example, follow the TikTok trends.
So, are you also active on TikTok?
Yeah, I am. I just don't use it much for business. I just use it for business purposes, but you're not going to see me scrolling to watch Morgan Wallen like my mother does.
And where do you see yourself going with your podcast and your speaking? Would you like to have your own show, as in your own stage show or
I want to make
your
this
event?
as big as Goodwill. I want it to be a nonprofit because right now it's a side time gig and I'm looking for a job because I graduated college with an associate's degree in broadcasting. But I want this to be, instead of a side time gig, a full time gig.
Yeah. The So what would you like to do for the community with this gig that you want to create?
Change a view of a population that, in my view, gets ridiculed or stigmatized for the stupidest reasons alive.
Yeah. I mean, here we are having beautiful conversation. I don't see any reason that you should be ridiculed or bullied or it to me the whole bullying and the ridicule doesn't make sense.
Well, it's because partially when someone on the spectrum is autistic, they think of this whole population of, oh, they have the mindset of a 3-year old automatically. And that's some to a point, I'm not going to lie, but that's not everybody with autism. You got me who mentally is 19, but biologically is 23. You also have someone who might be 18, but mentally they're 8.
Yeah. I actually had a experience not well, I've met autistic people before, but a friend of mine was a carer for adults with Down syndrome. Now, her kids were all of the mental age between 8 and 12, but their physical ages were 25 to 40. And I remember going to look at the Christmas tree lights around our local city because I was living in Sydney and there were lots of Christmas lights. And these people with Down syndrome, they were some of the kindest, nicest people you could ever imagine. They had so much joy in their hearts and they just wanted to be treated with respect. I had the most beautiful night with 10 adults who had Down syndrome, watching Christmas lights, singing Christmas carols, having a beautiful experience, yet their age, their mental ages was only 8 to 12.
Yeah, they're extremely optimistic, and we need that optimistic in life, I feel like, in
It's
this world today.
it's to me, you don't judge the person by the condition. You honor each person. You honor who they are. You give them love and respect. I love what you're doing. I When I saw your application come through and it was written out and telling us all about you, I'm looking at it going, we have to have this guy. He's awesome. He's making an effort to enjoy life but help others.
Right. I've always wanted to enjoy. life and help others, but never had the opportunity to because of just being confused in the world that really wasn't meant for me and not really having an opportunity to until Autism Rocks and Rolls.
And to me, I love the title, Autism Rocks and Rolls. You're taking this journey even further. Because I saw on your website the photo of you on stage on a rock and is that you on stage on
Yeah,
doing
that's
rock
me.
and
I was
roll?
the lead singer for, well, not lead singer, guest lead singer for a Midwestern local Chicago band. I'm not in Chicago, but they travel all in the Midwest. And I was a guest singer for their song Highway to Hell.
That's awesome. You're making me a little bit speechless here because you're, how can I explain it? You're an inspiration for people of all ages, of all conditions. How hard was it for you to make these changes?
Oh, it was hard because after 15 years, I just had enough of dealing with the stigmatization. So I decided I had to change myself. And what really worked was I quit people pleasing. The minute I quit people pleasing was the best decision of my life. Still is to this day. Because
I
I could finally feel free. Freedom. Mental freedom,
I
which is better than physical freedom, in my view.
This is the most important message of the show today. Stop people pleasing. Do it your way. Oh, I've been coaching for 30 years. And the biggest problem that I see with people is people pleasing. Doing things for everybody else and not doing them for yourself. Now, you want to go and create a nonprofit. Or have you created a nonprofit? I saw something about a
Yeah, I do.
501(c)(3).
That nonprofit allows me to do the speaking engagements and events I do. That's how he's staying the doors mainly, I'm not gonna lie.
And how can people get involved with you?
Well, you can find me on your favorite media platform. Not a hard guy. If you Google me or search engine optimization, something will pop up. But my official website is autismrocksandrolls.com. That has pretty much everything that's going around.
And so if you were if there's somebody with autism who's watching today, what has been the biggest message that you want them to hear?
Well, I don't think it's the biggest message. I think it's the word of life and the way to live. And it could work because it's worked for me. If the world could be nice and not act so stupid, I think we get along so much better. Don't you think, brother?
Mhm. This has been one of those episodes that I wasn't prepared for. And I mean that in the most kindest way because you're an inspiration. I see people on stages. I mean, I've been speaking on stages for a long time, for decades. It's an amazing opportunity to be up there, to have your message shared. Are you planning on doing any TEDx talks?
I already done one.
Ah, where and
It
when?
was in, it was in Bloomington and it had to do it virtually because of COVID, but it's still qualified as a TEDx talk. It was called Sold Structures about why those on the autism spectrum need structure because, and I'll tell you why, it gives us a world of safe sense, like safety, in a world that's very unknown. Because the world can be very unpredictable.
And how can you handle the unpredictable?
Depends on with what exactly, but I try and get back on schedule if I can. And try to push off this unpredictability.
Wow. Getting back on schedule. There's actually a lot of insights there for people. There's a lot of wisdom there for people. Getting on schedule. Stopping people pleasing. Having your family support you. Not listening to the bullying. Being true to you. Sam, this has been 15 minutes of fame. And your story has absolutely touched my heart. I want to wish you the greatest success with your nonprofit. I hope that you have the opportunity to speak on stage again very soon,
I do in
all
November.
over the country and all over the world. I'd love to see you touching the autistic lives of people in multiple countries, because you are truly an inspiration. That's it for the 15 minutes of fame. Wow. We'll see you on the next episode.